Is NIL destroying college football?
Oh, for God's sakes.
Absolutely no question, or nah, college football is better than ever.
Well, college football is great. It will continue to be great. But I have no sympathy, and I mean zero, for the NCAA because you created this. You had your head up your own ass for decades and refused to accept that people weren't going to sit there and let you continue to get free labor off of them. But do you have the clip I sent you?
I'm putting it in right now. You will have it in 30 seconds.
So this is from a year ago. So Charlie Baker, who's the new president of the NCAA, I actually think has been pretty good on a lot of these issues. He understands that things are changing, and I think he's trying to change with the times. But they have fought the idea of having contracts with kids that would prevent this. They have fought it for decades, and they've had these athletes over a barrel, and they have restricted them. And finally, they're reaping what they sowed. So anyone, and today that this poor UNLV quarterback kid is just getting raked over the coals. And I would ask anyone, and I mean anyone, if you agreed to go do something, whatever it is, you agreed to mow lawns, you agreed to go work for someone selling cars, you agreed to go play or pick up hoops on someone's team or a hood to coast, and I told you that I was going to pay you $100,000 to go do that, and then you got there and started doing the job, and that eventually I just said, yeah, I never said that, and I'm not giving you any money. How many people would continue to work for that company? No one. And yet we're calling this kid a bitch and a quitter, and people are dragging him over the coals. This is the NCAA's own doing.
So here's what happened. Quarterback Matt Suke, who is the starting quarterback at UNLV, beat Kansas.
Yeah.
They're ranked.
They're off to their best start.
Yeah.
Like ever.
3-0. And he's not great.
No.
But he's good with his legs, and they're 3-0.
He transferred from Holy Cross.
So he says an assistant verbaled $100,000 to him.
Mm-hmm.
The collective at UNLV says it's the first we've heard of this. There was no formal offer made to him. The head coach says, hey, that all has to go through me, and that one didn't. And the school released a statement that says that because he has an agent.
Yeah.
And they are viewing his agent's demands as threats and a violation of the NIL pay-for-play rules and a violation of Nevada law. So this is getting ugly.
I would also like to point out that because of the Tennessee situation and the soon-to-be House settlement, that there is no penalty for any of this, so good luck with that.
There's also a running back by the name of Michael Allen who has just over 100 yards rushing so far for UNLV, and he just announced today that he is also leaving.
Yeah.
Transferring. Boom, right after the 3-0 start.
Well, the players came out and said that, everyone was like, why don't we put these things in contracts? And no one at the NCAA wanted to listen to this. And this was like a year ago that Charlie Baker had this when someone pressed him on the idea that we need to have some sort of contract here so it's not the wild, wild west.
A lot of people are breaking the rules. But my question then is, for those athletes that take that leap of faith into the portal or to a particular school without any guarantee on paper, wouldn't being able to have inducements and sign a contract ahead of time provide them with the consumer protections to at least go after a school legally if they renege on a promise?
But we do have early signing, and we do have signing days.
In terms of NIL deals, though?
Well, I think the NIL deal is set up the way it probably should be, which is make the decision about the school that's the best school for you based on the academic opportunities and the athletic opportunities, and then figure out the other part.
In reality, that's...
Now, if we could ever...
In reality, that's... So, not really what's happening, as you said right now, right? Is why ignore the reality of how this is working right now in hopes of it being an ideal?
I'm not ignoring it. In fact, we have all kinds of cases that we've settled through negotiated resolutions and others that are pending. Yeah. I think the most important thing here is let's deal with some of the issues around accountability and transparency and consumer protections first. But and if we then want to have a conversation about other stuff, about how this should all work, especially if we get to the point where we give schools the ability to do more in this space, I'm all in on that. But I think to just say right now that inducements are working really well, and it's just like what you or I get if we're out looking for a job, it's just a misrepresentation of reality.
I don't mean to say they're working well. I guess the question is, would having a contract ahead of time before you have to commit to a school help them work better and actually help protect athletes from people reneging on promises?
I don't know.
See, this is my whole thing. All of this could have been stopped. This could have been stopped the moment NIL popped up. And yet, and this is, by the way, what the judge in the House settlement said. This is what the judge in the Tennessee stay said, that the NCAA continues, even after getting your ass kicked in court time and time again, even having to give on NIL and all the transfer stuff. What did the NCAA continue to do? No, we can't have contracts. They're still holding on to their pathetic, like amateurism sort of thing. And this is what it's created. I mean, the idea that you have NIL, and we've already seen it with high school kids, we've seen it with the transfer portal, and now we've seen it with a kid who gets to campus and is like, this isn't what I was told.
Didn't that happen with Damian Martinez?
Yes.
Too?
Yes.
At Oregon State.
And it happened with Rashada. It's happened multiple times where kids are like, hey, this isn't what I was told.
Yeah,
and
that's why Rashada ended up at ASU and not Florida.
Yeah.
And what happens every time is the collective and the school says, well, I don't know, the first I've heard of it. So, and the kid's like, well, this is what I was told. So unless you believe that all these kids are just lying out of their ass, right? In a shocking development, things are being promised, not delivered, and kids are like, this isn't okay. But because of the NCAA's own stubbornness, they refuse to allow these things to happen where you can actually put a pen to paper and say, this is what we're offering you. And when you go here, this is what we're going to give you. So until that changes, this is what's going to happen. This is maybe the first of these in season, but it's not going to be the last. And I don't have any sympathy for teams or the NCAA because they are reaping what they sowed. And yet I think the vast majority of people are going to blame kids. They're going to call them quitters. They're going to drag them on Twitter. And I just don't know anyone that would show up for a job, and that's what this is, a job, and be told you are going to get paid this. And then when you get there, they're like, yeah, we're not going to do that.
The company's doing really well, but we're not paying you.
So the problem here is that the coach, it sounds like the coach willy-nilly, like the coordinator, right? The offensive coordinator, willy-nilly said, hey, $100,000. Is that the problem here? Because it sounds like UNLV is saying, hey, whoa, that wasn't on our books.
Yeah, who knows?
So then you wonder whether the coach knew the rules, whether he was just trying to bait the kid knowing that wasn't there and that would hopefully get him on the line. I mean,
and that's where we just need some regulation. But it sounds to me like the NCAA, just from listening to Baker they're going to make the courts mandate it.
Yes.
Like they're not going to stick the knife into their own chest. It's not going to happen.
Anyone that says that NIL and transfer portal is killing college football, then you can blame the schools and you can blame the NCAA.
Well,
because
isn't this temporary though?
Well, as the House settlement, gets finished and all that,
get fixed.
We're moving into a new era.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's going to get fixed.
And yet they're still trying to hold on to the last scraps of, oh no, he sat up there with a clear face. And had the nerve to be like, well, I think what you should do is pick a school for academics. And then once you get there and you decide that this is the degree you want, then and only then can you talk about NIL. Oh my God. And that's a guy that I have said multiple times, I think is starting to get it. And I think is pretty good for the NCAA as far as they're trying to lead it into this new era. And then I see something like that. And I just want to slap him.